Good morning, everyone. On this Monday, it's Evan Kirstel here with one of my favorite guests and companies, Intelepeer, and I have Brian Gilman, the Chief Marketing Officer. How are you, Brian?
Good, Evan. Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you as well, especially on this summer Monday. It's getting hot, but hotter than that is Intelepeer. I've been really following all of your updates and news and progress. What an exciting time for you and the team at Intelepeer. Maybe introduce yourself and at a high level, who are you?
Sure. Brian Gilman, I'm the Chief Marketing Officer at Intelepeer. Joined the business in November. Spent well over a decade I've spent over 2 decades in the enterprise communications space, but have been spending the past decade or so in the communications API, CPaaS space, if you will, really focusing in on customer engagement and automation.
Yeah, and automation and CX are like the two hottest topics, at least that I follow on social media. So this couldn't be more timely and relevant. And in particular, you've been like heads down for your entire tenure, focusing on deliver really innovating new solutions to market. And one in particular that caught my eye, I saw you earlier at Enterprise Connect this year, was your entrance into the low code, no code world of service creation. Maybe set the scene for us. Why now? Why Intelepeer? CPaaS has been around for a while. It was niche, and then it sort of dominated by a giant 800-pound gorilla, and now you're entering the space in a really innovative way. Tell us more.
Yeah, CPaaS has been around for a little over a decade now, as a result of the 800-pound gorilla entering the marketplace. But CPaaS as a function, I think really hasn't evolved that much since their entry into the marketplace. Communications APIs, programmable communications, for those that don't understand what CPaaS is. Being able to embed communications into a mobile device or into a workflow has historically been a very developer-led motion. And it's been limiting to those who are digital natives who have large developer groups associated with them. One of the things that intrigued me to come to Intelepeer was their approach to CPaaS. They really said, why does this have to be so developer-led? Why does it have to be so developer-heavy? And so they went down the motion of creating their low-code platform. And their low-code platform is a simple drag-and-drop application, which can, now, a lot of people think drag and drop, oh, it's really simple. You can create some of the most complex workflows with our drag and drop low code capabilities, which really opened up a market to us that wasn't being addressed by the larger audience, by the larger market as it stood. Those smaller banks, those smaller retailers who are having a hard time competing with the larger banks and the online retailers now had the ability to create very simple workflows and complex workflows to meet the needs of their customers who wanted to interact with them the way that they did Amazon, Uber, those digital first types of businesses. We took that low code approach a step further at Enterprise Connect, where we launched our marketplace, which is a no code ability to go and build workflows into your customer engagement solution. So someone as technically unsophisticated as me can go and build a pretty complex interaction in a matter of minutes, as opposed to months with a lot of money and a lot of developer resources required.
Yeah, it's a pretty impressive platform. But tell us about your focus, because you do have a particular focus in consumer experiences and CX and contact centers, which have been around for a long time, but you've really taken, these idea of workflows, new workflows in the contact center to a new level. So
Yeah,
it's about customer experiences, new applications. Tell us more.
Yeah, when you think about the market today and you think about where our solutions are most getting used, they're really sitting within I'm going to say a customer engagement platform. Now that more than likely is going to sit within a formal contact center, but many companies may be leveraging their PBX to do some light call center type capabilities, call groups, call routing, call recording, simple things, but not very complex. What we call our communications workflow automation helps customers enable complex workflows within their contact center or their UC platform to automate calls and traffic before they hit the contact center or the UC platform, to make agent experience as well as customer experience much more intelligent, much easier, much more efficient. So that way calls get routed to the right person. Agents are equipped with the right information when a customer calls in, and really makes and drives efficiency out of what can sometimes be very legacy platforms that sit in the back office of many companies today.
Yeah, it's really intriguing. And APIs for contact centers have been around for a while. But tell us about the no code, low code approach, because I saw a demo and frankly, it looked like a script that I could build. And I'm actually a terrible developer, if at all. So tell us more about.
Yeah. So if you think about it, and one example that I always like to go to, if you think about financial services in my mind's eye have almost like a have and have not type of breakdown to it. You have your large global multinationals, your Bank of Americas, your JP Morgan Chases, your Wells Fargos, and then you also have your digital first banks, your ally banks. I can go on and on and on, E-Trade. But then you also have a lot of more what I'll call smaller banks, your credit unions, your community banks, your regional banks, who historically have always had pricing advantages over the large multinationals, where if I'm a credit union, my advantage was I could always offer you better rates than you could go and get elsewhere. Well, in recent market times, that interest rate environment has gotten so low that those credit unions and community banks couldn't really compete all the time on interest rates. And what they were finding was customers were leaving. I mean, if I only had a checking account with you, and all of a sudden I'm getting emails from every bank on earth saying free checking plus this plus that. Oh, and by the way, we have this great mobile application. It was really easy to leave. And so for these smaller banks and credit unions, the ability to compete and to provide better self-service to their customers has always been a challenge. But with our low code and no code capabilities, they can go and build an IVR in a matter of minutes. I can go and build an IVR in our no code marketplace in minutes. Now, take that a step further. I want to go and create a more complex workflow. My IVR has changed, and I want to build something a little bit more complex. I can go and take that no code application and I can unhook it. By unhooking it, it will create that template, that low code workflow within our atmosphere, within our SmartFlow tools, which will then allow the customer to go and customize it based upon their unique business process. And every bank and every retailer and every healthcare organization is going to have a very different customer journey when a customer calls into their 1-800 number. But why build the 85% of that IVR that's really commodity? Why not just build the 10 or 15% that's unique to you or your business? And that's really the benefit that we're providing these businesses, both small and large. We have very large customers that are leveraging our SmartFlow platform today. And like I said, the want and need to have piles of developers and to go and build something that may take months and a lot of money. Oh, and by the way, when something changes in that call flow, to have to go and rebuild it with code doesn't make a ton of sense to us. And so it doesn't make a ton of sense to our customers either.
Yeah, that's fascinating. And, there seems to be a big gap between the leading edge CPaaS cloud-based communications and contact centers and the legacy solutions that are sort of carved in stone and can't be changed. Do you look at bridging the gap between those two worlds as well? What if I'm a viewer who's got a 15-year-old contact center and I'm afraid to even touch it?
Welcome to Pandora's box right there. I do think that this is one of the challenges that we're seeing today. And I think you bring up a great example. You have, and when I say we have some very large customers leveraging us for applications, we see that a lot in that legacy contact center space. There's still well over 10 million legacy contact center seats that can't move, won't move for any number of reasons. And many of them are incredibly valid. You think of regulatory compliance issues, very complex databases that they're pulling from, that to try and rip and replace with a cloud platform just isn't feasible today, or maybe even a year from now. and yet they still have that need to modernize their communications. They're stuck with a platform that is perfect for what they were, but not necessarily perfect for what they need to be. And so for us to go and hook into that platform and provide them with a more modern toolkit to provide efficiency and better call traffic for them is a great benefit to them. Oh, and by the way, one of the best benefits, especially when you think about today's market, you know, the recessionary environment that we seem to be going down right now, a lot of companies just aren't willing to go and flip their platform from a cost perspective. So the ability to go and automate and modernize a legacy platform now allows you at some point in the future, when you do decide to go and flip that platform, we move with you. There's investment protection in what we're providing customers today. We're modernizing their legacy platform, but when they move, it's a very simple change in our smart flows to go and just point that workflow to a new platform.
Really, really interesting. Your website is chock full of customer stories and anecdotes and case studies. Do you have any favorites that come to mind in any particular industries or verticals you want to share?
I have a favorite. It's not on our website, but I will give you give you a flavor of what they're doing. I just spent a lot of time in Minnesota with one of our largest customers. They are a healthcare group administration platform, and so you think about companies when they're onboarding. Every year you refresh your group benefits. So every year there is a massive amount of onboarding for millions of customers. And these guys are managing the group benefits administration for one of the largest healthcare providers in the world. They have 7 contact centers, 7 different multi-vendor contact centers, and they wanted to leverage our platform to help manage call volumes between platforms, to help automate some of the processes, et cetera. They have this entire process, and if you think about the annual spikes, like I said, at the end of every year, being managed by a single person. When we sat down and met with them and we said, well, who's managing this complex solution? It was like, this guy over here is handling the whole thing. When you think about efficiency, when you think about return on investment, the return on investment for something that complex is so immense to them that, you know, the scale with which they're growing, and they'll probably grow another 2x this year as their platform gets more mature. To be able to handle that with a single person to sit and watch calls and just make sure that the flows are working is really something that I've never seen before. And I think as you start to think about the complexity of large organizations today and these multi-vendor environments that have been sometimes acquired, you know, companies acquire other companies and there's just piles of platforms that they haven't consolidated. The ability to see traffic and to be able to orchestrate, do that over-the-top orchestration of multi-vendor environments is something that very few providers can do today, and was something that sitting down and meeting these guys was just mind-boggling to me. And I've been in this space forever to see how efficient they've been able to make this process with very little resource and very little manpower.
Wow, what a story! I can't wait to find out who that is. I'd love to follow them on social media. And you've been around for a while, as you mentioned, and you know, messaging is all the rage and apps, the app economy. But you've been an early innovator in voice and SIP. Most people don't realize, going back to the beginning of voice over IP and SIP. And voice is, if not alive and well, it's kind of still a fundamental part of our communication strategy. So I'm really interested in how you're blending these different modalities, not just voice, SMS, social, but you know, APIs from Google or Microsoft or others. Because
yeah, it's kind of sad. What's old is new again. You know, when you think about voice, and I date way back to when Avaya IPO'd back in 2000. So I've been in the voice space for a really long time. I think what we're seeing is the value of voice really starting to spring up again, because at the end of the day, voice isn't going away. And so it's an issue of, if someone's going to call in, how can you make that experience as efficient as possible? Not every call needs to or should ever reach an agent. And so, you know, the ability to tie into AI and machine learning and into back office CRM platforms to ensure that when a customer calls in, one, the IVR understands, the bot understands, oh, and if it ever gets to the agent, if they need to get to the agent, the information that's required to resolve that call is at the agent's fingertips. But anything that we can do prior to that call ever reaching the agent should be done. You think about self-service automation. Self-service automation is all about making sure that you can get that customer to resolve their call in the way that they want to. And for many times, and you've probably heard me speak about it, there's transactional interactions, and then you have like your moments of truth. I'm buying my first home. I'm settling an estate for a loved one. That requires a more intimate, more complex interaction and engagement. And I want to make sure that those calls, just as well as the guy who wants to check his balance can self-serve through automation, I want to make sure that that guy who's buying his first home can get to a mortgage agent quickly to get that information that they need in order to go buy that first home. And I think that's really where the market's going, and it's really providing, that importance of voice. Voice is not going away, but it's how can we provide intelligence around the voice call so that we don't have those horrible experiences of calling in and just getting bounced around a contact center.
Of old, that's every call I make these days.
I'm trying rose-colored glasses. I always think that the whole market's moving towards us.
Have you tried to call an airline these days? It's an interesting experience.
It depends on who you call, though. I've had some pleasant experiences with airlines and cable companies, and I never thought those words would come from my mouth.
Oh my gosh! Well, I need to get a tip on who you're using because I've had the opposite. But in any case, what's next? I mean, you've been heads down and heads up maybe the last almost year. What's next from you in terms of product functionality, releases, or other news you might want to share?
Yeah. For us, it's continuing to expand the capabilities that we've provided customers through SmartFlows and through the marketplace. But it's also now expansion of services. How can we provide more templates? How can we provide better access to customers so that way, for a net new customer who may have never built a flow before, they can go in and see a library of not only just templates and SmartFlows, but ones that are very specific to their industry. And you've known me long enough. I am a very vertically focused person, and I want to make sure that if we have a healthcare customer, that we're providing them with templates and tools that are going to be most likely utilized by their customers versus a financial services customer who may be looking more for secure payments, two-factor authentication. And so for us, it's how do we provide access, immediate access and utilization of the platform, because that is what our customers are demanding from us is help us with these challenges that we can't solve on our own.
Fantastic. And it's almost a side note now that you have this amazing network that you built that's like rock solid and provides this very high quality of service and delivery of services. But all the cool stuff now is in CPaaS. So congratulations on all the success. Are you going to have a bit of a quiet summer, or does that not exist these days?
Oh, I used to think that the summer we used to experience, especially in marketing, you'd see the dip in during the summer. That doesn't exist anymore.
Okay. Unless you're in Sweden or someplace nice.
Maybe,
like
and not in the States.
Okay. Well, great chatting. Thanks for the update. I included a link in the post around an upcoming webinar that looks quite interesting. I'd encourage people to check it out, sign up, and learn more. Well, thanks so much, Brian, for joining. It was really, as always, a pretty fun chat, and look forward to following you for news and updates.
Awesome. Thank you, Evan. I appreciate it.
Thanks so much. Bye-bye.